Hey folks, Doug Blake with Body Design University. In this video, I want to go over the endocrine system. This is found in chapter 6. Just a quick review because I've had some students actually ask me if I could kind of explain in simple terms some of the hormones and the endocrine glands. I will say this, NASM actually did a really good job of simplifying particularly the things you need to know in the everyday world of personal training and more than you actually need to know. Although I will say that in today's world, there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of confusion on the endocrine glands, its functions, and some of the hormones that we're normally accustomed to kind of hearing about. Keep in mind, as you're reading through this, my recommendation from a memorization perspective is you should know the gland, right? So the pancreas or whatever the gland is, and the main, and I would put this in a column format. So the gland, the main hormones that are secreted by that gland and their primary or major function. Do yourself a big favor. Please don't go outside the confines of NASM's explanation of this and go looking on social media sites and see all these other videos of supposed experts talking about, well, that's not really the main function. I think the ones that I see quite often is like, insulin. Ooh, insulin is main function is not to do is to shut down fat. It's like, oh my goodness. For those of us that have been studying this stuff for literally decades, we kind of look and go, come on. Seriously, your best bet in this case is to just look at what NASM has given you. It's going to be their exam anyway. So if there are some differences because of new research that has been conducted and there's some nuances, a different way of explaining it, please do yourself a big favor. Don't be dealing with any of that stuff, particularly when it comes to studying. You go by what they have given you. That's the information. If it's outdated, it wouldn't be so outdated that they're giving you wrong information. There may be some more, like I say, nuanced information from studies, but the reality is that they've given you all the information really that you need, and they've done it in a pretty simple format. So starting on page 170, the initial, just read it. Now again, NASM has given you in blue in the text. Those are the words that you need to memorize on the sidebars. Memorize those. Again, you have a figure 611. Sure, you should know the main endocrine glands, right? The hormonal system. So the hypothalamus, the pineal, pancreas, thyroid, pituitary, adrenal, and the reproductive glands. They'll also kind of throw in um, the pictures here that, don't try and redraw these. I mean, if you want to, you could. Um, but it's a good idea to kind of know the glands themselves, and again, what their unique or particular hormones are that they are secreting. Just keep in mind, endocrine system is fairly complex. Some hormones are designed to when they're released to go to other endocrine glands and tell that gland to produce stuff. And the pituitary is a classic example of that. One gland that is, and I'm going up to the upper right-hand side of page 171 is the hypothalamus, a gland located in the brain that communicates with the pituitary. Now, you see how they explain that. The hypothalamus is, in a sense, now most people will look and go, well, I guess the pituitary is like the major. Well, not really. The hypothalamus is almost like the quarterback here in the endocrine system. It's kind of the way I like to think of it. Is a key. It's a key. So the hypothalamus is a key player for hormone actions because it serves to communicate messages from the body to the pituitary. Pituitary, you probably would know, produces growth hormone, which is obviously a really important anabolic hormone in the body. But again, when you're reading through it, hypothalamus, write that down, and then what are the hormones that it secretes? And if NASM isn't telling you what they are, it's not going to be important from a testing perspective, right? But we do know that what is its function, and that's basically what you're looking to do, because as far as I can tell, I don't remember if they did it or not, but you're not getting a chart. They haven't given you a chart that says um, gland, hormones, functions. So write your own and you'll be able to memorize it. So you get to page 172, you've got insulin, glucagon, different substrates, glycogen, right? So those obviously substrates and glycogen are not hormones, but insulin and glucagon. And in today's world, in the real world of personal training, you're going to hear a ton, or you're going to read a ton about insulin, but you're not going to hear a whole lot probably about its sister hormone, glucagon. They do roughly they have the opposite effects on your physiology. Insulin is a hormone. It has multiple functions, but upon release from your pancreas, insulin has a main acute function. Whatever else you want to say its main purpose is, whatever. Nobody cares, to be honest with you. Its main acute function is to lower blood glucose levels. Why is that important in today's world? Because most people are not starving in extreme levels of atrophy. They're not. Most people are overfed, which means they have an over. Look, the biggest problem is not enough food, carbohydrates, and no, it's too much food, which leads to a fairly common ailment known as metabolic syndrome. It has multiple components to it, but one of the biggest issues with metabolic syndrome is elevated blood glucose levels, which maintains a moderate to higher level of insulin being pumped out of your pancreas. This leads to all sorts of issues and problems, everything from insulin resistance all the way up to, right, but not the main cause, but one of the causes of obesity. Okay. So that's why all you hear about is insulin, insulin, insulin. How do you lower your insulin levels? These are issues that we do need to know as trainers. One of the reasons why we coach people in their nutrition. You've got to. But we also don't hear too much about glucagon. And glucagon is an interesting hormone also secreted by the pancreas that when it notes low blood glucose levels will actually trigger um, your liver, which contains glycogen, to um, take that glycogen and move it into the blood system. Low blood sugar levels, glycogen triggers the liver. The liver takes its relatively small supply of glycogen, and pumps it into the circulatory system in the form of glucose. And blood sugar levels rise. Now NASM has this all laid out for you. I've said this before. If you've seen any of my other videos, NASM did a great job in their textbook in explaining some of these in a very simple way. Again, figure 612 shows you about insulin, figure 613 about glucagon. So there's insulin, glucagon, and that's going to be your pancreas. And of course, you can read through the Stretch Your Knowledge box. The adrenal pituitary, now I'm on 173, adrenal pituitary reproductive hormones. So the adrenal gland, those are located right on the top of each of your kidneys, right? The adrenal glands, you probably already know that. Pituitary glands located right behind the bridge top of your nose. About an inch or so inside there. So growth hormone, catecholamines are produced. Again, look at the gland and make sure you know that these glands secrete these particular hormones. What do these hormones do? What does testosterone do? What do catecholamines do? Produced by the adrenal glands, part of the stress response, known as the fight or flight. We also, and NASM will talk about it, we also connect the endocrine system. This is a sidebar. The endocrine system with the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems because they do work together. So when you're going through this particular part of chapter 6, by the way, you're going to read about cortisol, right? What do you hear about more than anything when you're on the internet? Insulin and cortisol. Cortisol, bad. Ooh, cortisol's bad, makes you fat. Come on, are you serious? Insulin makes you, no, insulin doesn't make you fat. Cortisol doesn't make you fat. Your lifestyle and individual unique physiological biomarkers, those are what, quote, make you fat. Too many calories, not enough exercise, caloric surplus, along with some other variables, that's how you gain weight. Ladies and gentlemen, the endocrine system is the main driver for how calories are going to be used, not used, stored, not stored. That's the thing to keep in mind. None of this stuff is magic, by the way. The endocrine system, it doesn't work magically. Insulin is not some magic hormone that makes you fat. It's not. Is it part of a bigger, broader problem with people holding on to too much body fat? Absolutely. Okay, but that's way beyond the scope of this particular video. Cortisol is not bad. You'd die if you didn't have it. Okay, you generally get a fairly large pulse of cortisol early in the morning. It is a catabolic hormone, but it is a really, really important hormone in your body. Again, as you go through this particular area, make sure you understand the gland, know the hormones that are associated with it, that particular gland, and what those functions are. You don't necessarily, unless for your own edification, necessarily need to go outside of what NASM is giving you. So it's really, really good information. They do talk about some other terms that are critical. So catabolic or catabolism, which is the breakdown of large molecules into smaller molecules, i.e. proteins into amino acids, free fatty acids, or excuse me, triglycerides into glycerol group and free fatty acids. That's catabolism, right? Glycogen breaking down into glucose molecules. That is catabolism. It's when large molecules get broken down into smaller molecules. Anabolic is the exact opposite. Amino acids forming into proteins, glucose forming into glycogen molecules. Free fatty acids floating around, connecting to glycerol groups and creating larger molecules of what we call triglycerides. Okay, that's anabolic, and so these are really important terms to know as you're going through this particular section of Chapter 6. So I'm hoping that this was helpful. If you had any questions about it, maybe you did, but if you found this to be helpful, this particular video, please let us know by typing in the word understand in the comment section. If you want to go into it a little bit more, or you need any help on any other particular areas in the NASM textbook, please go ahead and write it in that comment box as well. You can head on over to our Facebook page, private study group designed to help you to pass the NASM exam. We are here to help you. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Thanks.